Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group and check out this website also where you can find so many project ideas with live version, proper flow, diagram and APIs and documentation and all. Now let's start with the video. So in this video, we are going to create a small user management application. So this application will be developed in Angular 18 along with API integration, not with the local storage. We will be actually integrating with the real API. This application will be designed for two roles. Let's say we have admin role and the user role. Now what admin can do the login page. We will have a login page. He can do the login. He can create the new user. Edit and delete functionality also will be available for the admin, and he can see all created user. This is for admin. Then we have another role. So admin will be creating a user. So that is the user role. What user can do? He can log in, upload his profile picture only. He cannot do anything else. Only he can upload his profile picture and can only see his details, just the view mode. So this is the whole idea. It's a small project, but it has a role-based some changes are there. Like if role is admin, we can do this thing. If role is user, we can do this thing. Along with that, we will be trying to cover the new things, what we have got from Angular 17 to Angular 18 and the basic concept of Angular. So let's start. I have created a project. This is with Angular 18. Again, it is Angular 18, but in 17 also same things will be there. So let me show you the package.json. So here you can see 18 is there. So after basic project creation, what I have done, I have installed the Bootstrap. So you can see Bootstrap entry has been added. To install the Bootstrap, you just have to get the, you just have to install it. So either you can run this command npm bootstrap, or you can put this into package.json and do the npm install. Once you install the Bootstrap in angular.json, you need to add that entry also. So in style section, you need to add it. So this is where you need to add it also. So this is the initial things I have done. In source folder, we get the app folder only, that is parent component, app component. Now we have to create the component. Again, like API, let me explain. So you can visit project.api.zerasim.in and here you can find this API user. We only have 5 APIs, but with this 5 API, we are going to complete all the operation. Now, how many components we are going to need? So as I discussed, like, so first component, like login component, we are going to need. Then this is the admin kind of application. So we will need a layout component that will be, once we log in, we will navigate to the layout where we will have the navbar. So this is just for the part of the login. Then we will need user list component. So this component will have the list of all user. Means basically this component is for admin role. Then profile component. So in this component will be responsible for create, edit, and view mode also. Means for admin also, or let's, instead of profile, let's make it create user component. That will make more sense. So this component will be responsible for creating, edit, and the view mode. The same component we will be using for admin for create and the edit, and same component we will use for user to just the view the information, where he can just upload the profile picture. That's it. So that's it. These are the only user list component we are going to need, and the create user, 2 extra components we are going to need. So let's create it. So in app folder, what we can do, we can create a folder where we will name it as components, or let's name it as pages. Then here we need to create the component. So right click, open in an integrated terminal. Now we have to create the component. So to create the component, we have to use the Angular CLI command, ng generate component. First, let's say login, enter. So first component I have created. Then we need a layout component. I will explain layout component. Why do we need it? Then user list. Then create user component. For create and the updating, same component we will be using. So you can see these are the components we have created. Once we create the component, next part is we have to create the routes. So we have to go to the app route.ts. So previously in previous version before Angular 17, we used to have app routing module.ts. It was a module file, but now it's just a constant file. So here we need to create the routes. So routes will be like, say, first route which I will be creating is the default route. So path will be empty. Then redirect to, it will be with login. If we don't have anything in the URL, it will by default redirect to login. And path my strategy, we have to mark with full. This is my default route. Then login route, path, sorry, login component. Which component I have to open? Login component. Then again path. Next path will be empty. And component will be layout component. Now, the components or the pages which we are going to access after the login, that will be part of this route with the children. Because this application is a admin-based admin kind of application. So that's why we have to create routing like this. So this is how your routing should look like. Default path, login path, and then empty path with the component layout component. And what are the components which we are going to access after the login? Those will be part of the children of this layout component. So let's say user-list component, user list component, then second component, path, create user component. So only two components, two routes we have created. We are going to need one more route, but that I will explain once we come to the edit part. So see, this is the route structure which you should have whenever you are working in an admin kind of application. So let's just save, file, save all, and let's try to run the application. I think I have already run, but it is running on localhost 4200. One more thing, if you have to use my API, you need to run the project on 4209. So let's stop it. ng serve -- port and then 4209. This is how you run the application on different port. Let's enter. So now my application will run on this 4209 port. If you run on 4200, you won't get the API response. So that's why run the application on 4209. So localhost 4209. So by default, you can see login component is coming, but this is also coming. So this is coming from our app component. So this is the basic code with what we get when we create the empty project. So let me remove that. Now in our app component, we will just have a router outlet. That's it, nothing else. So if we save, you can see login is coming. If I remove from over here, so see by default is still going to the login page. That is because we have created default route. Now let's close it. Now we need the login page, right? So let's try to find the login page UI. Let's Google it. HTML, CSS login page. Just use any and just let's go over here. Just the freefont.com is there. Or you can use the code pen also. So many examples are there. You can pick any. Let me just find. That's fine. Let's use this. So if you can click on the demo and it will go to the code pen only. Oh, it's with SCSS. Let's not go with SCSS. Let's use this. So this is my login HTML. So let's copy everything and put it over in the login page. Then we need the CSS also. So this is the CSS. Let's copy. Let's paste it in the login CSS. Now, after that, let's save and check if login page is coming properly or not. Let's see that. So you can see login page is coming properly. Now, here you can see already one user is there. Admin, I said like admin will be there. So admin will be only one. We cannot have multiple admin. Users will be multiple, but admin will be only one. So if you see the get all user, so here you can see I have from the database, I have already created a user with admin. So here you can see admin@gmail.com is the email ID and password is admin and role is admin only. So now this we have to check for the login if login is working. So at the bottom, we have the login API. So this is the Swagger where you can test it also just like the Postman and password is admin. Let's try the wrong password first. On click of execute, you can see we are getting an array of object and their result property is coming false. And in the message, we are getting wrong credential. Okay. So result property is what you need to check out. If API call is success, you will get true over here. If there is an error, we will get false over here. Let's try the correct password now. Let's execute. So now you can see result is true and we have got the data. Okay. So result is the field which will denote like API call is success or not. Now, so this is the API call which we need to make on click of this login button. But before that, we are going to make the API call, right? So we need to, what do we say? Include the form now. So we are going to use the template form. So in login component.ts, if we have to use the template form means by using ng model. So first thing, we have to write in the component.ts, we have to import forms module. So forms module. Previously, we had the app module. So there we used to do that, but we don't have app module now. So in the component itself, we need to import it. Now let's create the object. So whatever the object we need to send. So this is the object. So let's copy. Let's create the object that will be login obj colon any equal to curly bracket. Let's empty this. So we have created an object. Now this object we need to bind to our form. So we have our form over here. So you can see this is for an email ID, this is for password. So here we need to bind ng model. So square bracket, round bracket, ng model like this equal to double quote. Now for this text box, this is for email. What we need to bind? This property, but this property is inside the model object. So this object dot this property. It will go over here. Let's copy this now. Always try to copy paste. If you already know things, just learn the copy paste. It will increase your speed and you can get the work done in very less time. So let's check. Now there will be an error. I want to show you that what is the error we get. So what we did in now, we have created object. That object we have binded using ng model. So here you can see we are getting error. If ng model is used within a form tag, either name attribute must be present. So this error will be there if you are using ng model inside a form tag. See, then name attribute is mandatory. So here we need to add name attribute and same email ID, whatever the property name you have binded, that you can bind it over here. Just like that over here also. Password. Now if we see, we don't have that error. Next thing, now on click of login button, we need to integrate the API. So to integrate the API, first, what we will do, we will create a service. So in Angular, we have a concept that is service. So service is just a file where we create our reusable functions. So let's create a folder, service, and inside this service folder, I will create a service. So open a new terminal, ng generate service, and service name will be user. Let's enter. So it will create a user service. Now, in this user service, we are going to write a function to make the API call. If we have to make the API call, so before writing anything, first we have to go to the app config file. Previously, we used to have app module where we used to add the HTTP client module, but now we don't have it. So we have a provider over here. In app config, we have provider over here. Inside that, you can add provide HTTP client. This is same as we used to add HTTP client module. Okay. So first thing, whenever you have to make the API call from Angular 17 to 18, this is the first step you need to do. Let's close it. After that, over here, you can create an object. So private HTTP HTTP client object. Okay. So this is what called as a dependency injection. We are injecting HTTP client service into our user service. One more way is there, that is using inject, that we will see in the component. So this is the old thing, how we used to inject a service. New thing is by using inject property. So we will see that. Now, over here, first API call function on login. Now, here what we are going to do, API call. Let's check, let's go to the Swagger. So API call is post and this is my URL. So let's copy this. This is my URL. So here, first return statement. So this dot HTTP dot post API. Post API needs two parameter, URL and the object. So object because this function we are going to call from the login component. So while calling this, we will be passing the object. So that object we need to catch it over here. And this object we have to pass it over here. So this is your post API call. Why return? From component, we are going to make this function call. And once this function call execute, we are going to make the API call. And whatever the response we get from this API, that we need to return it back also. So that's why the return statement. So let's save it. Now in user service, we have created a function that is on login. Now this service we have to integrate into our login component. So here, now I'm going to use the second way. User service is equal to, I can use inject method. Okay. And here what we are going to inject? The service name. So that is user service. So let's put it over here. We are going to need the import also. Let's add the import. So same thing. This is dependency injection. This was present up to Angular 15, but from Angular 16, we have got this new thing that is inject. So this is not from Angular 17, it is from Angular 16 only. Okay. Now, in this component, we have to create a function, login. Now, over here, from this function, we are going to make the API call. So this dot user service dot, only one function is there currently on login. On login function needs a parameter that is object. So object is nothing but this. This object only we have binded to the form. So let's this dot login object. Sorry. Then if I show you over here, so see this method is returning data type of observable. Getting it? So whatever is returning an observable, we can subscribe to the. So we can subscribe to the observable. Round bracket, result, colon, any. Again, I'm not creating class and interface, but if you know, you can create it. Considering like everyone is fresher, I'm just creating this video. If you know how you create class and interface, so you can do that also. You can follow my another project video also. In almost all videos, I'm creating class and interface, so you can match that. Now, once we get the response, what was the response like? We were getting an object. And inside that object, result is the property what we need to check. So if res dot result is true, we will get to know like API call is success. And if not, we will get an error. And from a API side only, we will get the error. So we will use the alert box res dot message property. So if you see the network, if you see the response, this is the property name where we will get the error if we have the error. Now, if user is success, if user logged in is success, means API call is success, we need to store the local login data to the local storage. Why? Because after login, how we will know na, that which user is logged in, what is its role. So what we will do, we will store the local data into local storage. So local storage dot set item is the method. While storing the data into the local storage, we have to convert data into the string format. So here you can see value string. So in data, we are going to get the data. Means currently, whatever the details you have passed, that user data you are going to get in the data. So let's give a name like user app. This is the key. And while storing the data into the local storage, we have to convert it to the string format. From API, we are going to get the object. So to convert JSON.stringify. What we need to convert? res.data inside, because inside data, we are going to get the data. And once user is data, we have said we have to navigate it also, right? So currently I will by default navigate to the user list, but once we implement the login and everything, then I will navigate to somewhere else. But for now, we will navigate to the user list page. So again, from component.ts, we have to navigate. So how do we navigate from component.ts? We have to make use of the router service. So router is equal to inject. What we need to inject? Router. This. Now So once we have stored the data, this dot router dot navigate by URL. This is the method what we have to use. This method is responsible to navigate. Now check the route user hyphen list. This is the route which we want to navigate. So let's add it. Let's add a debugger. Make sure whenever you are writing, if you are in the learning process, add debugger everywhere. You should understand the flow, how flow is going and not. Okay. And in subscribe also I'm adding. Now just check the flow, how flow is behaving. Let's save all. What was the username? admin@gmail.com. Let's add it. And password is the admin. First, we will add the wrong password just to test the all positive and negative scenarios. So on click of login, nothing is happening. Why? Because we have created the function, but this function we have not integrated on the button click. So this function we need to call on the button click. So this is the login button. On this button, we have to add a click event. So round bracket, click function, and it's a function. So round bracket. Okay. Let's try now. Now we should be able to do that. So let's get the email ID and password. Let's add a wrong password on click of login. Now first debugger, what we have got in the login component here. Now, if you hover on the login object, you can see whatever the details we have provided in the form that is available in the object. That's because of ng model. Okay. Now, if I continue from over here, from this, I'm calling this function from the service. Continue. So here you can see we in object, we have got the object that we have sent from the component. Now from over here, we are actually making the API call. So once API call is there in the network tab, you will be able to see it over here. If I continue, see it's in pending. Once we get success, now you can see subscribe call from the login component got executed. And in result, you can see we have got the object which we have got from the API. And here result is false. So it will go to the else block. And it will show the message that we have got from the API call. See, this is the API call, and this is the response what we have got. Now let's try the correct password. Admin login. Now you can see over here, we have got admin password we have changed. So over here, you can see now result property is true. And in the data, we will get the data, login data. So here you can see, let me show you the local storage also before running this line. Let me just remove it. So currently in the local storage, we don't have any data. Once this line run, we will have the data also. And once, because of this line, you can see we have navigated to somewhere else, user list. Now let me show you the network tab also. Here you can see in user app key, we have the value. Okay. So login part is done. We are able to successfully navigate. But after navigation, we should be able to see the navbar. Let's get the bootstrap navbar. I don't mostly focus on the, what we can say, UI part, because functionality and the concept that is important. So you can just use the bootstrap, get the ready things which are available over there. Let's copy this. Now this navbar code will go into our layout component. So this is the layout component over here. Our navbar will be there. And after navbar, again, we will need the router outlet. Router outlet. But if you see, it is giving error. So from Angular 17, all components are standalone. So whatever you are going to use, you need to import that. Even router outlet and router link also. So router outlet you need to import. Once we save it, see, error is gone. Now if we save, you will be properly able to see. So see, navbar is here and user list is coming. Previously layout was coming. But now in layout component, we have the router outlet. So what is the purpose of router outlet? To load the activated route component. Okay. So login part and the navigation part is done. Now we will start on the user component. So first thing we are going to do is showing the user list. So this is the component which we are going to use. Now to show the user list, we can use table also or card also, but just to keep it simple, I will go with the normal table because that's what we mostly use. Now, if we see the Swagger, at the top, we have the API that is get all user. So if we execute, currently we only have one user that is admin. So this is my API, right? So this API I need to integrate, and whatever the data I get, that I need to display over here in this component. So again, we have created service. So all the API call function will go over here. So here we need to create, let's say, get users normal function. We will return the data. So this dot http dot get method, it is there. For get, we just need to pass the URL. So that's it, only one parameter. Now we have created the function. Now this function we have to call on the user list component, but that too on the page load. Means once component is initialized on the page load itself, we should call the API. Whatever the data we get, that we need to render. So for that, we are going to use lifecycle event that is OnInit. So we need to import it, then we need to implement it also. Then we can create the function that is ng OnInit. Otherwise, it's just a normal function. If you don't do the other things, it will be a normal function. So either we can call the service and make the function calling over here, but the standard way is create a separate function, load users. From this function, we are going to make the API call function. Now we have to create the instance of our user service. So again, user service is equal to inject. And we have to pass the user service like this, right? Then in load user function, we are going to actually call the API call function. So this dot user service dot. Now we have two function, get user function. This function doesn't need any parameter. Again, if you see, this function is returning a data type of observable. So we can subscribe to it. Subscribe round bracket result colon any arrow function. Now, whatever the data we are going to get, that we need to store it somewhere. So let's create a variable user list. In this variable, we are going to store the data we get from the API. So this dot user list is equal to res dot data. In data, we will get the array. If you see the API response, let's go to Swagger again. So see, in data, we have the array. So we don't need to worry about this. Just data part, we need to get. So that we have done. Now this function, we need to call on the page load, means on ng on. So this dot like this. So component work is done. Now we need to bind this data also to the UI part, correct? So let's do that now. In HTML, what we can do, let's create row column structure. We will create a table. Sorry. Table dot table hyphen bordered. Now we will have a T head. Inside that we will need a TR and we will have a TH. Serial number first heading, then TH. Let me just copy paste to speed up the thing. Then what do we have? So you can see over here, we are getting so many things, but it's not required that whatever the data you are getting, all you need to display. Some part also you can display. Let's say, I think I have a spelling mistake, full name, let it be. So let's say full name is there, or let's keep it as a name. Then we have email ID, E capital. Then we have mobile number. So let's display that also. Then we have city. So let's display that also. So just the basic thing I'm displaying for now. Then T head is done. After that, we need the T body. So T body, TR. Now we have to iterate the TR, whatever the data we have in that array list. So previously we used to before Angular 17, we used to use ng for directive. But after Angular 17, we have got control flow statement so that we can use it. Means directly you can write for loop structure in the HTML itself. Whatever, how you know the basic for loop, just like that we can write it. So this TR, the iteratable part, you have to put it over here inside. Item, you need to pass the array where you are going to get the data. So that is user list over here. Now what number of TD we have, that number of TD we need to create it over here also. And over here, first th is for serial number. So here we are going to print index, but index will normally start with 0. So we need to increment it by 1. Then again td, and here we need to display item dot. Now this is going to be common. So I'm just copy pasting this so that we can save our time. Now name. So name we are getting in this property. So let's copy. Always try to copy paste the field name. Don't assume and write it. Email ID, because like you can see here, double L should be there, but I made the spelling mistake. If you write it correct, then you won't be able to see the data. So always try to copy paste from the response, what data you are getting, just like that. And the city. So let's save, and let's check if we are able to see. Yeah. So let me show you the network tab also. Always make sure you are checking the network tab and everything. Instead of, let's make it no throttling. On page load. Now on page load, you will be able to see the API call. See, API call is there, and whatever the data we get, that we stored into an array, and that array we are iterating over here. So data is visible. Let's make the layout little bit dark, because let's save. Okay. Now, so get part is done. Next part is we have to add a button for create new record also. So above this table, I will add a button to create new record. So let's close. This table was there, right? So above here, again, I will create a row dot call 12. I will add a button, add new. Let's add a bootstrap class for button, btn success. Let's align it to text end. Let's save. So now you can see we got the button. Now on click of this button, we need to navigate back to the create component, right? So here we can make use of the router link. Now we are going to use the router link. So to use that, we need to import that also. So over here, router link, then only we can use it. So now router link is equal to where we have to navigate to the add route, that is create user. So over here we will navigate. Let's check if we are able to navigate or not. So on click of add new, no, something is error is there. Let's check what is the error. Why it is saying cannot. Oh, slash is missing. So make sure you add a slash because it was taking the absolute route. Now, if I click on add new, see, we have successfully navigated and that component also got loaded. Okay. Now, next thing, here we need to design the form. So for form, first we need to check the post API. So this is the post API. So this object we need to create. So let's create the form first, then we will write the API call and everything. So this is our HTML. So let me just quickly dot row. Inside this, what I will do, I will just add a container also, or let's, instead of writing, let's go to Bootstrap and let's get their basic form. Bootstrap 5. Let's go to their official site. Let's search forms. Where is validation? So see, a ready-made form is there. We are going to use this only. So let's copy. Let's paste it over here. I will just add a container. Let's save. Somewhere error is there, incomplete block at line number 22. Let's check the line number 22. Because of this, it is coming. What it is saying, instead of this, we have to write this. So let's add it. Let's save. Yeah, so this add symbol is coming. So this is our form. Now what things we need, just like that, we will do full name, email ID, mobile number. So instead of first name, let's make it full name. Then let's remove this. Email ID is there. Email box was there now. So let's get that. Where was the email box? Yeah, this is the email only. So email. So full name is there, then email ID is there. Then we have mobile number, address line 1, address line 2. Then here mobile number. Then we have address line. So for address is going to be multi-line. So we will have text area. So that we will put it at the end. First city is there. So mobile number, then city is there. Then we have password. So when admin is creating user, he is going to assign a password. So password. Then what else we have? Role is by default, we will be sending it as user. So we don't need to show that in the form. Just address line and address 2 is remaining. Let's create text area. Class form hyphen control. So this will be, let's say, address line 1. Just like that, we will need address line 2 as well. Let's save. So full name, email ID, mobile number, city. Let's add the column properly. So this is fine. Then we have 3 over here, 3 over here. Password is also 3. Let's 6 and we will put dash as 6 and 6. Let's say. Okay, but still is this address line 1, address line 2 should be in a single row. So what we can do, let's complete this and let's create a row again. Okay, row was added over here. Let's remove that. Over here. Let's save. So this row got completed over here and this row got completed. Okay. One div was missing. So let's add it. Yeah, now it's fine. Let's format it. So now you can see address line 1 are coming in the next line. Let's add some padding on the button. So let's say PT3. Instead of submit form, let's add a name like add user, create user. Okay, so our form is ready. Next thing is like, we have to create that object, whatever the object we need to send to our API. So in .ts, let's get the object. So this is the object. So let's copy. Let's paste it over here. User obj colon any equal to this. Let's remove this string with empty. That's it. Now this object we need to bind to the form. So again, template form we are going to use. So again, forms module we need to add. Then we need to bind this also. So to all the input elements. So all the input elements are text. So what I'm going to do here, let's write model is equal to this. And over here dot. Now what I will do, I just need to do the copy paste. So I will copy this and I will replace that with this. So I will increase my speed. So see, wherever I had that, I have replaced that. I have replaced the class with ng model. Now I just need to bind the field. Let's open it at the side panel. So this is like full name. So this will go over here. Then this is email ID. So it will go over here. Let me just check first. We are getting in a small case. Yeah, I thought it. So you can see in the gate API, we are getting everything in a small case. So make sure you also create it in the small case because ultimately capital small issue will be there. So let's create small Everything in the small case, first letter. Okay. C P P R. So full name will go over here. Then email ID. Let's copy, let's paste. Then we have mobile number. So let's copy mobile number. Then city. City will go over here. Profile picture URL we are not taking right now because user is going to upload. So I will showcase you how we are going to do that. Password, address line 1, address line 2. Save. Let's check if we have any error. And not by an ng model. We didn't save .ts. Yeah. Let's say console. Again, that same error. So I think in form is there. Instead of it, let's remove the form tag. We don't need it. Let's close it. So again, like we are not using ng model inside the form tag, so that name attribute doesn't require now. Now on click of create, we need to call this API along with the object which we need to send. So first thing in the service, we need to create the service call. So let's copy this. Let's paste it. Create new user. API call URL we need. So that is like create new, create user. Let's copy, let's paste. This will go over here. So API call function is done. Now on this button click, instead of submit, let's make it button. Click on save. Let's create this function. Now, so in service, we have created save API call function. Now this function we need to call from the component by passing the object. So again, we have to create the instance of it. So user service is equal to inject. What we need to inject? User service only. Sorry, user service from here. Import has been automatically added. Then in the save function, we need to write. So this dot user service dot. See, now 3 functions are there. Create user. What we need to pass the object, which we bind to the form also. So user object. Again, subscribe result colon any. Again, this is a post call. So we need to add that result dot result check. I think email ID is unique. So for that, we need to add an if check. Alert. We will showcase the message like user created success. And in else, we will show the error message, whatever we get from the API. So res dot message. Now I said like role will be static. So here you need to initialize it user. Okay, because whatever the user we are going to create, role should be user only. So that's why we are doing it a static. There is no sense to have this in the form, right? Because ultimately static, we have to pass the data. Okay. So let's say when check if we are able to create the user. So let's say emp1 emp1@gmail.com. Let's add a dummy mobile number. Let's send Pune. Password I'm providing 112233. Let's add a plot number. Let's say 90. D block Pune something. Now just pay attention to the network block. I'm not going to debug. Just I'm going to display the same thing over here. If we click on create user. So now you can see API call is there and user created success message is also there. Now, if you see the response in header, you can see the URL, post and everything 200 is okay. Whatever the object we have done that you can see in the payload. See, role is also hard coded and remaining information we have got it from the form apart from profile picture. And in response, we have got it as true. Now, if we go back to the create page, user page, so now you can see the created user. So this is how we create the new record. So user get part is done and the create new part is also done. Now let us update and the delete. So for update, oh, I forgot to create an API because we have a separate page for edit. I thought like, so let's do one thing. Okay, let's first complete the delete parts because on edit, we need to navigate back with the ID, but I don't have API right now. I have to create that API that will be get user by ID. So before that, let's complete the delete. Then I will, by that time, I will create the edit API also. So first we will complete the delete part. So now this is the table. So in the table, we will have a delete button over here. Okay. So let's close this. Now come to the user list. So now in the user list, we will add a one column at the heading. Let's call it as action. And then in T body also, we will add one TD. We will add a button over here. Let's say delete. Let's add class btn danger. Now what we need to do on click of this button, we need to delete the particular record user. So let's right click event. Now, if we check the delete API, what we need to pass just the user ID, right? So from over here on delete, I'm going to pass the user ID. So item dot, what we need to pass the user ID. See, this is the user ID. So let's copy. So while calling this function, we are going to pass the user ID. Let's create this function. So here we will have ID, number. Now we need to again create the API call, right? In the service. So let's go to service. Let's copy this, get user one. It will be like delete user by ID. And we should have a parameter also, user ID, that will be having a data type number. Now URL we need to get it. Let's get the URL. Let's add one. So now just pay attention. Whenever API has a parameter, so URL should be like this. Say question mark ID is equal to then your ID. So this will be over here. And whatever the ID we get, that we will pass it after plus concatenation, right? So your URL will be dynamic. Now this function we need to call from over here. But once let me just show you the UI, then you will understand. So we are able to see the delete button. But if we directly click on delete and we directly make the API call, that doesn't make sure. Because in normal application, we need to show a warning also. Are you sure want to delete or not? So that thing we can do by using a confirm box. So constant local variable I'm creating is delete is equal to confirm. And we have to pass the message. Are you sure want to delete? If on confirm box, we get OK and the cancel button. If user clicks on OK, we will get true. Then only we need to make the API call. So if we get true over here, we have to make the API call. So that will be this dot user service dot delete user by ID. And we need to pass the parameter. So whatever the parameter we get, that we will pass it over here. Then dot subscribe, round bracket result, colon any, arrow function. And once user is successfully deleted, so we will get true and false, right? So res dot result is true. What we need to do, again, we need to call the API call to get the updated user. So this function, we will call it over here. But if there is some error, we will showcase this message alert res dot message. Now let's check it if we are properly able to delete it or not. Let me open the network tab. So now just pay attention. On click of delete, we are getting that confirm box. If I say on cancel, see, no API call is there. Let's try it again. If I click on the OK, now you can see we are getting the API call, but it is saying 404. Something URL might not be correct. User, okay, still it is get. So see, in service, we said get, but in Swagger, it has a delete method. So we need to pass the delete. So instead of get, it will be delete. Now if I try, it will be success. Let's try again. So if we click on delete, okay, now you can see it is success. And after success, if we have called the get all user also. So you can see it is visible. Okay, so record got deleted. So this is what the delete operation. Edit part I will complete later, but now we need to do the, let's create one more user, that role-based login, and that thing we need to check. So now let me just create one more user. Let's say Rahul @gmail.com. Let's add a dummy mobile number 112233. Create user. User is created. Now let's try to log in with this user. Oh, we forgot to implement the login logout functionality. Let's just quickly that. Now where we will have a logout functionality. So here we have the navbar, right? So over here we will add a that logout button. Instead of this, now let's get this navbar because we will have the button over here. Let me just copy this. We need to edit it. Let's copy, and this will go into the layout. Let's remove the existing one. And over here, we will have the logout button. Now on click of it, what we need to do? We need to remove the local storage data. So click on log off. Let's create this function. Now in log off function, we need to do two things. First, we need to remove the local storage data dot remove item. What was the key which we have stored the data? Let's check from the login. So this is the key. So this first we need to remove because we are logging off. So there is no point to keep the data in local storage. Then once user log off, we need to navigate back to the login page also. So again, router service we will create, inject router, right? Then over here, this dot router dot navigate by URL, and where we need to navigate login. So slash login. Let's check if we are able to navigate back to the login and log off is visible properly. Yes. Okay. Now if I say log off, you can see again we are back to the login page. Now let's check what was the user we have created. Let me check from the database. Let's log in again with admin. Rahul@gmail.com. Password was 112233. Now, so we are logged in with the normal user. For normal user, we should not be able to see all the users. He should only be able to see his details only, correct? So for that, again, I will need an API. Let me just create that first. So I have created an API to which we just need to pass the user ID and we will get the single user data. So if we see the get all user API, so you can see currently we just have two users. We have created Rahul one. So Rahul user ID is 226. Now, if I need just the user ID, particular user info, so I can pass this user ID. So in return, I will get that specific user data. Means whatever the logged in normal user is there, I will need to show that user data only. Correct? So let's try to log in. So login name was Rahul and password was user. Sorry, 112233. So if you see, the role of this user is user. So now we have to do hide and show some things based on the role. So in the local storage, we have a user app, and in that we have stored the role data. So now if I'm logged in as a user, so I won't navigate to the user list. Now I will navigate to the user page, means create user page. But I need in this create user page, I will be showing the logged in user data only. Everything will be disabled. Just profile picture upload will be there. So let's do that now. So in the login component.ts, once user is logged in, here we will add just the role check. So if res.data dot role. If it equal to user, then we will navigate to the create page. So let's add that over here, and else we will navigate to the user list. So let's get the create page. So this is the URL create user. So if logged in role is user, we will navigate to the create user page, and user list won't be there. So let's try now if we are able to log in. Let's log off again. Let's get the email ID, password 112233. 112233. So if I log in, let's continue. So now we got the result true. We have stored the data, and here you can see role is user. So obviously if block will execute and it will redirect to the create user. Correct? But if we are in the create user, I need to showcase the logged in user detail. Everything will be disabled, just profile picture will be there. So now we have to make some changes. Let's close this. Now in create user, what I will do, we know like which user is logged in. We have the data in the local storage. So what I will do, I will create a constructor, and in constructor, I will read the local storage data. So constant logged user. While naming the variable also, it is very, that variable name should depict the purpose of the variable, right? So we are going to read the local storage data. So logged use local storage dot get item. What's the key? The key name is user app. So let's copy and let's paste it over here. Now, remember, whenever you are reading the data from the local storage, now make sure you add a null check. Log user is there, then only we will convert that data. Now, here you can see we already have the data, but that is not the right way to read it. So from this logged user data, we will just read the user ID. So over here, if user ID is not, if we got the logged user data, then again we will create a constant parse data. Because while storing the data into the local storage, we have stored that into the string format. So again, we need to convert it back to the object format. So JSON dot parse method we have to use, and to parse, we have to pass the logged user, this variable. And let's create a variable ID colon number is equal to, by default, initialize with 0. And to this variable, we have to extract the data. So this dot logged user data is equal to parse data. From parse data, we have to read user ID dot user ID. And if logged user is there, okay, so what we need to do, we need to read the we need to get the data also. So this is the API which we are going to use. So let's create an API call function. Again, some checks will be there, but let's just complete this first. So now let me just copy the get one. So this is the get API. Let's copy, let's paste it over here. Now this is going to be my URL. So instead of get all user, this will be, let's remove this now. And here ID will be there, parameter, and this ID we have to pass it after this. So plus concatenation. Oh, we need to provide the data type also. So let's add the data type. Okay. So now in service, we have created an API call, which we have to pass the ID and it will get the particular data. Now over here, once we read the local storage data, we have to call the function get user by ID. So this dot user service dot get user by ID, and we need to pass the ID. Where do we note the ID? In this variable, we are storing the ID. So this we will pass it over here. Dot subscribe round bracket result colon any. Now whatever the data is there, that we are going to store in this object only. So user object, because that's what we have bind to the form. This dot user object is equal to res dot data. So let's just check till now if we are able to see the logged in user data. Let's continue. Why I'm not able to see some break? Let's try to debug the code. What is happening? Let's add a debugger over here. Oh, sorry, we didn't call this function. So how it is going to execute? So this we need to call over here once we read the local storage data and everything. Now you can see in network, you will be able to see the API call 226 and you can see the data is also available. Now, everything should be disabled, correct? As we said, normal user will be only able to upload his profile picture. He cannot modify anything. So if logged in user is there, logged in user ID is there, or let's add a role check also because we are going to need the role check also because admin is also a role. Na? So if parse data dot role is equal to user, then only we will assign the ID over here and this will go over here. Okay. So if logged in role is user, then only we are going to store data into this variable because same page we are going to use for the edit mode also. That's why I'm doing this. You will understand once we complete that. So now if this variable has the data or yeah, now if in this variable we are storing some value, that means this is a normal user. Okay. So now this variable we can use to disable all the input elements. So this is my text box, right? So over here, disabled. If what do we say? Not if logged in user ID not equal to 0. Let's try if it is disabled or not. Yeah. So see, it is disabled. So like that, let me just copy paste and put it everywhere. Now what I will do I will just search the input type text and I will replace that with this. And this will save our time. This will be duplicate. So let's remove that. We have just two text areas. So let's rename it over there also. That's it. So let's check one more time. So now you can see everything is disabled. Now we just need to add one more check, one more element that will be able to upload the profile picture. Now for uploading, it's not like file upload. You can just pass the URL, any Google URL, because I didn't create the file upload API. Let me just create it. Let's say call for, and over here, instead of text area, we will need just an input type text. Or text area will also work fine. Now here what we need to bind? The profile picture URL. This property we need to bind to this over here. And we need to disable it. We don't need that disable tag. Profile picture URL. Profile pic URL. Okay. So let's try it now. So you can see, oh, I did copy paste somewhere else. Let me just undo this. So we need it over here. Let's save. Now you can see everything is disabled. Just profile picture is available over here. But now instead of create user, it should be like update profile because we are only going to update profile name. So that will make sense. Now this variable will denote like if the normal user is logged in. So we can use this variable. So this button, if condition I will add. So if it is equal to 0 means this is a admin role. So we will show the create user button and in else, at the rate else, we will just have the button. Let's add a warning class so that button color will be something different. And this will be update profile. And this will be, let's say, a save API call only. We don't need a different API call just because you are going to, oh no, sorry. This is the update case. So we have a separate API for update. I forgot. So put API we need to use. So let's create a service call quickly. Just like the post one, it will be put update user. Here instead of post, it will be put and the method name will change. Update user. So let's manually write that. correct? Now let's create this function also. Just like on save, we will have on update. See, once you understand the API call process, it's not that much complex. Same thing will be there, just URL and object is going to change. Now let's try it. We should be able to see the update button. Yes. And what we will do, if user attach any profile, that image should be visible over here. So what we will do, after this call 6, we will create one more call 6. And here we will have an image tag. So image src is equal to that too in a property binding. And this same thing, we will only bind it over here. So currently we are not able to see anything, but let's try to get an image. Let's try Sachin Tendulkar image. Go to images. Now just pay attention what you need to do. Just right click, open image in a new tab. Make sure you are not passing the base 64. You should have the URL proper. Okay. So let's try this. If it is the URL, open image in a new tab. So now you can see this is the URL. So this we need to add it over here. So see, once I upload, that image is also visible. So let's click on the update profile. Yeah, so update no, wait. Why it's still going to create? This is update. This is update. Okay, we forgot to change the function. This on update call should be over here. Let's try it again. Update profile picture. So now you can see update user API call is there. Correct? Okay. So when if I reload, I will be able to see the profile picture uploaded by him. And I can change this also multiple times. Correct? So this is the upload process. Means user logged in role. Okay. Now coming back to the admin. In admin, just edit part was remaining. So let's complete that. admin@gmail.com. Admin password. Let's log in. Okay. So now you can see if admin is logged in, he is properly logged, what we can say, he navigated to the user list. Now we just need to complete the edit part. Now, on click of edit, user is going to navigate to the create user page, because same page we are going to use for the edit part also. So on click of edit, we have to navigate to the create user route. But now we are going to pass the ID also. So now we have to change the route. So let's go to route. I will just copy this one more time. This will be edit user. Now for the same component, we are going to have two different routes, but this will be with parameter. This will work. Let's try that. Now from user list, we will have the edit button. Just like delete, we will have an edit button. On edit, and on edit also we are going to pass the user ID only. MX2. Let's make them center align. Let's create this function. We are going to get the ID. So let's cache that. And we are going to navigate. So router object is not created. Let's create the router object. Router is equal to inject router. Now, once what we are going to do, we have to navigate, right? So this dot router dot navigate method we have to use. And for navigate, we are going to pass an array. First will be our route. So our route will be the route which we have created. That is edit user. And second parameter, we are going to pass the ID. So ID. Let's see if we are able to navigate, because I'm not sure about this. Let's try, click on edit. Yeah, so we are able to navigate, and you can see the ID is also over here. Now, if I click on over here, see on which record you click on edit, that ID is over here. Now, coming back to the create user page. So in create user page, if we have to read this ID, and again, we need to make the API call. So let's close everything again to create user. So in create user, we have something ID in the URL. So we need to read that. That is nothing but query parameter. So what we will do, again, we have to create an instance of route, activated route. Activated route is equal to inject activated route. Now in the constructor, after this, we will read that this dot activated route dot params, and we need to subscribe to the params. Sorry, dot subscribe method is remaining. So if we have to read the query parameter, we have to write this. We have to create an instance of activated route and then we can read it. Let's me add a debugger and let's check it. Let's open the console. Let's reload. So currently in the URL, we have 226, correct? So let's continue. Now here you can see in result, we have got, why empty it is there? Oh, we forgot to add parameter name over here. Question mark. Where do we do that? ID like this. Let's try. Let's continue. Yeah, so now here you can see we are getting object. We can have multiple parameter also, but we can access that by using object. Key value pair data will be there. So in result.id, we have the ID, whatever the URL, whatever the query parameter ID we have, that we are going to get. Now over here, this variable was denoting like if the normal user is there. Now if it is the edit mode, so current ID, I will say colon number is equal to by default initialized to 0, and the log query parameter. So this dot current ID is equal to res dot ID. And once we read the ID, then again we need to call this function only. But let's change because this function we are here, we have passed the logged in user ID. So instead of that, let's make this as a parameter base. And instead of passing the parameter like this, we will pass this, because same function we can use in both the scenario. Here also you can pass the logged in user ID over here, and here you will be passing current ID. So let's save and check if we are able to do everything. Because once the page load, we should be able to see the data of that particular edit user. So see, everything is visible. But this is an admin user. Admin should not be able to, because profile picture only normal user will be able to upload. So we have to disable this. So how do we know, right? So if logged in user ID is equal to 0, we have to disable the profile picture box. So this, let's add a disabled not equal to 0. Above we have okay, sorry, equal to 0. We have to disable if it equal to 0. Let's see if we are able to see, it is disabled, but admin will be able to see the profile picture image what he has uploaded. And the upload button is there or not? Yeah, so instead of create user, we should be able to see. So either logged in user is equal to 0, or in both the cases, if what do we say? In this current variable, current ID is the variable which denote like if it is a ID. Yeah, so we can use this not equal to 0. Let's try. Or we can simply use the user object. So user object dot user ID. That will also work fine. We don't need to add two conditions. If user ID is not equal to 0, then we know like it's an update mode. Correct? So this is how we have completed the application what we have started, which has admin role and the user role. Admin can create user, delete, update, can see all the created user, but user can only see his information and he can only update his profile picture. That's it. So this comes to an end. If you are new, please do like and subscribe. Thanks all.